Hey everyone, I welcome you all to this video. And in this video, we are going to discuss about one more scenario based question. Actually, sometimes there are situations where we want to control the way or the manner in which different visuals interact with each other on a report page, right? When I was working on one of the projects recently, I came across that situation. So we'll be discussing about that. But before that, since we are not having the data, so let's create the data. First of all, I'll click here on modeling tab, new table. Let the name of this table be test. All right, and I'll be using calendar function for it, so I can write calendar. It will show you the different options. Press tab key, and then I'll be using date function, so date, tab key. Let's say we want to represent the data from 1st January 2022 to 31st December 2022. So again, comma, date, tab key, 2022, month 12, and day 31st. Close the bracket, press enter. If I will click here on the data view tab, you can see that a column has been added in this table, and you can change the format of this particular column from here. Let's keep it DDMMYYYY. Let's go back to the report view. And let's say I want to add a column where I want to represent different week numbers of the year. So I can right click on test table, new column. And let's name this column as week num. And we'll be using week num function for this. So week num. And then you have to provide the date. So you can simply write test date, and return type is not mandatory. Close the bracket, press enter. If I'll click here on data view, you can see that a week number column has been added in this particular test table. Let's go back to the report view. Let's say I want to add one more column where I want to represent the sales. So I'll simply right click on test table. All right. I'll right click on the test table, new column, and let's name it as sales. And let's use rand between function, tab key, and you have to provide a bottom and a top value, and it will return a number between the numbers that we'll specify. So let it be 5 to 5000 and close the bracket, press enter. All right, so if I'll go back to the data view tab, you can see that this is the data that we have created and we are going to use it for analysis. So let's click on the report view and it will take us back to the report view. So now let's say I want to add a slicer on this report page. So I'll just simply click here on the slicer. It will create a blank slicer for us. Let's say on the slicer, I want to represent different week numbers. So I'll just simply click here on week number after having the slicer selected. So you can see that this slicer has been created. Now let's say I want to rename the slicer. Instead of week num, I want week num 1 to be written here. So double click and then you can name it from here, week num 1. Now let's say I want to add a shadow to this particular visual. So just simply click here on format your visual, general, effects. I want to add a border. So just simply click on change this visual border to on. Now let's say I want one more similar slicer on this page. So I will just simply click here on the slicer, Control C, Control V, and let's move the second slicer here. And let's rename the second slicer as week num 2. Just double click, remove this one from here, make it week num 2, enter. Now let's say I want to add a bar chart on this particular report page where I want to represent the sales by month. So I'll just first of all click here on the blank area on the canvas, then click on stack bar chart, resize it, and simply drag this sales column from the data pane and drop it here in x-axis bucket. And let's drag this date column from the data pane and let's drop it here in y-axis bucket. And since I want to represent the sales by month, so let's remove day, year, and quarter. All right, further resize it. And if I want to sort access by sum of sales, so we can do that as well. All right, so this is a chart that we have created. If in case to this chart, if you want to add a border, so just simply click on format a visual, general effects, and change this border to on. All right, now let's say I want one more same bar chart to be added on this particular report page. So I'll just simply click here on this bar chart, Control C, Control V, and I'll move this second bar chart and keep it somewhere here. Let's say for the second bar chart, we want to give a separate different title. So I'll just simply click here on format your visual, general, and title, and let's name it as sales by month 2. And let's name the first one as, first of all, click here on the first bar chart, and let's name this first bar chart as sum of sales by month 1. Press enter, right? And maybe we can change the colors of the bars as well. So for the first chart, I'll just simply click here on format your visual and then bars, and you can choose any color of your choice. So just to distinguish. All right, and for second chart, just simply click on the second chart and you can select any color. So maybe you can select pink. All right, so these are the two charts that we have created, two bar charts, same bar charts that we had created, right? Now I want that when I will select, if I'll select any given particular value of week numbers from the first slicer as of now, then you can see that both the charts are getting filtered. Let's represent the data labels as well. So for first chart, let's click on the first chart, format your visual, and change this data label to on. Similarly for the second chart as well, change this data label to on. First of all, click on the second chart and then change this data label to on. You can see that both of them are getting filtered in the same way. When we change or select some particular week numbers in the week num 1 slicer. But now I want that when I will select any given particular week number in the first slicer, the values should change only and only in the sum of sales by month 1 bar chart. In this bar chart, the value should change, but in the second bar chart, the value should not change. That is my requirement. So first of all, let's clear selections, and having this first slicer selected, let's click on format and let's click on edit interactions. Now you can see that when I've selected this first slicer, this filter and no filter option appears at the top of all other visuals which are present on this page. So for this sum of sales by month 1 bar chart, I want that it should get filtered like as it was getting filtered previously. But for this sum of sales by month 2 bar chart, I do not want any interaction with the week num 1 slicer. So having this week num 1 slicer selected and edit interactions kept on, I will just simply click here on none. Now if I will select any particular week number or any given values of the week numbers, then you will see that the first bar chart will get filtered, but the second bar chart will not get filtered. Let's see. So you can see that the values in the first bar chart changed, but in the second bar chart, the values didn't change. You can further see it, right? The values in the first bar chart is changing, but the second is not changing. So in this manner, we can control the way or the manner in which different visuals interact with each other on a given report page, right? Again, I'll clear selections. Now let's say for the second slicer, I want that the second chart should interact with it, but the first chart should not get filtered when I'll select any given particular week number or any week numbers on the second slicer in week num 2 slicer. So as of now, if I'll just select any given value of the week number or any week numbers, if I'll select, then you can see that both the charts are getting filtered as of now, but I don't want the first bar chart to get filtered with respect to week num 2 slicer. So having this week num 2 slicer selected and this edit interactions kept as on, I will change this filter behavior to none for the first chart, and you can see that it now came back to its original state, because this filter of this filter, that is week num 2, stopped working on first bar chart, and you can see that the values are still getting filtered in the second bar chart, right? So actually the point is that there are situations where we want to compare the values for two different weeks, right? So we can make that comparison using this edit interactions. This can be very useful in those type of situations. So I hope this video was helpful, and we'll meet in the next session. Till then, thank you. Bye bye.